Great. I know like this year when the school started, right? But a lot of students they not going to Berkeley for the on-campus study, right? So I think that right now it's like Berkeley still doing all online, right?
For research, they can get permission to come back through safety trainings. But for teaching, yes, students are instructed to stay at home.
I see. Before the open class started, actually, we had like some short discussion about this like a new some news. We know like this year the UC now they pass the law. Actually, the court just decided that like the UC they should not ask any SAT anymore. Which quite make a lot of students feel like annoyed and they feel like, oh, we try so hard to prepare for SAT, and now it just test blind. It's not giving you option, it just test the blind. How do you feel about this?
I don't know whether it will get it will get appealed or something like that. But it emphasizes that I think that from the student point of view, whether you need to take an exam or so. For Berkeley, this level of top level research oriented universities, independent of the scores, the admission office always look for some special characters of the students that will being enrolled in Berkeley will be the best person to advance their career in the areas they are really strong in Berkeley. For example, engineering is pretty strong. So, as the old saying goes, walk the walk and talk the talk. In your application, if not only you can say that, oh, I want to come to Berkeley, as an example, right? So, although, I teach in Berkeley, I'm not saying that going to Berkeley is your only option. There are many good schools. I'm, equal opportunity person. But I think that you really want to demonstrate in your application that not only you want to come to Berkeley, but you want to show that you have taken action. And I think that action means more than words. And I think in terms of the applications, having those very solid cases of internship and really be further amplified. Even in the situation that Berkeley possibly will not consider SAT.
Yes. So I just want to just go do a quick summary before we start to today's topic. So do not really feel, panic or nervous or upset or anxious about the test blind policy. To be honest, for Asian students or for most of the students, I would say score is only one thing, right? You have your GPA, you have everything else, but the most important thing is like SAT, ACT is not really the thing to make you, be outstanding, or it could not be the things like stop you stand out. So it doesn't really hurt that much. So what is important during the college prep? So today we're going to talk about the topic, right? The AI skill, the CS and the STEM major, the future, right? Okay, so thank you, Dr. Young, to join the short conversation to start our today's seminar. Okay, I think we can start it. Okay, so first I would like to let Dr. Yang to introduce the topic and to give up some like input based on the classes, the courses that we had. I know like Dr. Yang has been helping the semi-edu students on the AI, on the Python languages and different classes, and we're so honored to invite you to give the opportunity to the students to listen to your thoughts and your thinking and to see the future of the AI. So could you
Mhm.
start it? Thank you.
Yeah, so let me start by giving you guys a short introduction about myself. I mean, there are words and pictures of myself on the slides, but you guys can read about it. But let me tell you a little bit about my story. I grew up in China, and I think I consider myself very lucky because when I went to elementary school in 1986 ish, you know how old I am now. So it was actually the first generation that Mr. Deng Xiaoping actually established policy that in elementary school, the education system needs to start teaching computer. I started learning on Apple II computer when I was 6 years old. And then since then, I have learned a variety of programming languages and also participated in competition. So that led to me going to the college and then get to the computer science undergraduate degree, and then came to the U.S. and went to University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, and I got my PhD degree over there. I have been since 6 years ago. I think learning computer has been an integral part of my life. I have to say that I really enjoy this experience. And also, my parents told me that learning computer is the only thing that they don't have to worry about. Even at that time, computer was never being any measurement of success in any type of exams. There's no exams even for today, right? But because I found my interest in computer and computer science quite early, so learning computer came easy for me. But I think that really not just I'm not saying that I'm the smartest person, or among the smartest people to learn about computer science. But comparing to the students who I have my colleagues, college classmates, who came to really good school in China, top school, but they just start learning a language first time in college. But compared to my experience, and I think that somehow I'm privileged. It's just because of this gap of you having 10-year experience of learning in computer versus when you go to college, you're just starting to learn computer. When you came to 16 years old, there is certainly a gap. So that gap actually contribute certainly to me to further advance my study. Came to the U.S. because, as you guys probably know, that around the time of 2000, not like 2020, coming to the U.S. and then getting a visa and getting full scholarship was quite competitive at that time. So because of this advantage that I had, and I was able to get into University of Illinois, one of the top 5 engineering schools. And then after I graduated, I came to Berkeley, and since then I have been with Berkeley for more than 15 years. When I came to Berkeley, I started to also fortunate enough to work with some entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley and get into entrepreneurship and then doing startups. And I really have a good experience about how to apply what we have learned. And I understand the importance of computer science to some of the most advanced emergent fields, and potentially how the entrepreneurs and big companies are pushing to make those new technologies available to change the daily lives. Some of the things that I have worked on, including virtual reality, augmented reality, machine learning, and autonomous driving. And also, I'm a faculty advisor at the Berkeley Skydeck, which is the official incubator of the Berkeley Entrepreneurship Program. So I get to talk to a lot of founders. So I really believe that learning about computer science and getting yourself interest about artificial intelligence and computer science could be a significant advantage in many circumstances if engineering is actually a career that you want to pursue. But I think putting all these aside, the number one thing I will advise everyone is to look in the mirror and try to understand yourself. If you want to dedicate 10, 20, 30 years of your career looking after your graduation, and then try to convince yourself, find out whether you have the talent or you have the passion to overcome many potential difficulties, and then remain true to be able to be part of a revolution and movement to make computer science and make artificial intelligence to be more tightly integrated with our daily lives. So there are so many examples, because we just started this conversation. So I will, get back to, June and see, what kind of detailed questions we can talk about.
Yeah, this is so great. And actually, I feel like, to study the computer science, a lot of students or parents, they feel like, oh, if we study computer science, so it's going to be easier for the job market. But today, with your introduction, I believe like more and more parents probably want to think in a very different way, going to be more aggressive. For example, oh, my kids want to learn CS not only to get a better job one day, but maybe he can create something, and be part of it. Maybe is another, startup or a great company, right? Who knows? Because they are the future. And we do believe we should motivate them to have a bigger dream, right? The bigger you think, the more possibility you can get in the future, right? So, well, I think this is self-introduction time. Okay, I am June. Most of the students, I think they already know me, and I believe I'm a very passionate for the education. Actually, I am. I have been working on the online learning and K-12 learning for my past 17 years, and I studied 7 EDU in 2014, and I have been helping many students achieve their dreams. So my belief is like every student deserve, their personalized education plan. Some of them they want to go for the direction for the STEM. Some of them they want to go to like a law major, the different majors. So as a counselor myself, I also helping students to discover their potential and their direction. Yeah, I think we can just get back to our topic today. Yeah. All right. So the first one, we probably want to, answer the question that are collected by the our team, and we know like a lot of students and parents they have the same question, and we have been asked the same question over and over again. And that's starting from the first one, Dr. Young.
Yeah. So the first question was what to expect if you want to apply as a CS major student. Right. So there's a lot of movements in here, including the first topic that we just really lightly touched, which is what happens if a UC does not consider SAT scores, right? So I don't know, but I think that what remains true is that so there's certain persona or student profile that I have seen that very common to students coming to Berkeley. For example, I will say that a lot of students of course, I'm talking about engineering students. I have they actually when they come to Berkeley, they already know programming languages very well. They know about open source. They know GitHub. So actually, if you talk to a average Berkeley engineering student, they will actually say that they learn Python in high school. In fact, you probably I don't know if you guys know that Berkeley does not teach programming. So either you learn in high school or you learn that you self teach yourself. The Berkeley professors will not teach programming. We will assume that you will be fluent in programming in certain languages. So that's number one. Number two is specifically to Berkeley. You guys probably know that there are two different tracks if you want to apply CS. I'm actually in EE, electrical engineering. There are a lot of some variation in terms of working on the hardware. So if you are really hands-on person, you want to get your hands dirty and you want to do 3D printing, you love circuits, you want to design things, probably EE is your is something that you want to consider. But for the CS, there are two tracks. Number one is you directly apply to college engineering, but there's another college of science and letters. You can apply there. The difference is if you apply to college engineering, then you are committed to do EECS. Of course, the competition is a little higher, but that doesn't mean that the EECS student is necessarily better than other students. It's just their bar is a little bit higher in terms of what they can see. If you apply to science and letters, at least so far, there is an option that you can choose computer science from the College of Science and the Letters, but you will not be specifically learning ECS. And I think that they emphasize more broader curriculum. And then by year two, you can petition to choose computer science as your major. So that is a separate track in the College of Science and Letters. It depends on whether you want to come to Berkeley directly committed to ECS, or you want the flexibility to learn science more generally. You learn math, you learn statistics, and then by year 2 you can declare that you want to declare that, oh, I want to stay in the last 2 years to learn about computer science. So in terms of the, I think in terms of the setup of the program, that's what I know for the situation in Berkeley.
I do have a question actually. So we know
Mhm.
like a lot of parents, they try to push their kids, or not push, maybe let's change a different word, like lead their kid into the CS major. But I do see a lot of students, they are very good in the science major, physics or math, or even, different computer science major related courses, but is still interested in some other major, for example, politics or education, law, maybe they want to go to the liberal art direction. So what do you think about, this kind of situation? Do you think like students, if they're good in math, they need to go to the CS major for sure, or only the students who have passion for the CS?
Yeah, I think a lot of the decision, when we just talk about it, it boils down to very abstract, conceptual discussion. Probably, it will be difficult to have this conversation with the students. What I would recommend is something I heard. I'm thinking about how to educate, my kid. And for example, if you want to, because I learned playing the violin when I was a kid, and there are different ways to learn that. I mean, if we teach that, my father's way, you will hand your kid a violin and say play it, and then go to a class, every week, and then try to be good about it. But when I came to the U.S. and I learned about a different way, which is you first bring your kids to concert, and then you play some music, and then you want to ask your kids, are you interested about getting involved with learning some kind of instrument, right? So that is getting to your kids to be interested about learning something, and then take the initiative on your kids side. I think that is probably the US way. Certainly I think that probably will be better than doing this extracurricular thing as assignments. Now, in particular to computer science, what could be the actionable item, equivalent to bringing kids to a concert, so that when the kid listen to music, they felt interested about learning instruments. I will say that it's about a language. It's the same thing about a lot of us are bilingual, so we learn about Chinese, we learn about English, and similarly when you learn about computer science or the math math has its own discipline and has its own axioms and has its theory and so on and so forth. And similarly in computer science, it has its own language. So the language is the programming language. So you communicate and then you let the computer know about what you want to do. You instruct computer to do certain things by programming. So I think the step one is to my suggestion is to sign up for some language courses. I get to know how to do computer through coding. For the first five years when I was in elementary school, I wouldn't say that I'm doing anything related to science, but actually through learning about the language, I get to be able to communicate with the computer. I learn about how to instruct computer to do certain things. And so that's equivalent to we learning, Chinese, we learning about English. So that gives us a way to communicate with the machine. So currently, the most popular language is Python. So that's actually not new, not old. So Python is a new language that has been on the front page of the conversation just in the past 4 or 5 years. But going back to what Jim was saying, unless you really want to go to college, school of music, but if you want to do information journalism, big data, bioengineering. I think that the Python really, anything that is remotely related to, using a computer to help you to analyze the data, the big data. Python is the #1 language right now, and that is actually very, very commonly used. So I think that to get your kids to be interested, potentially to consider computer science and even other science majors, I think that learning Python is a good option to start.
Yeah, I totally agree. So if we don't really consider the major for now, if your kids is still like young or early stage, I think just take as a second language. But in the future, I
Mhm.
think like we are learning second language for Chinese or English or German, right? So we have to learn the programming languages. That's the future. That's everybody should learn. Even you are not going for the CS major, just take it as a basic second language. I think that's a very good point for all the parents to encourage your kids to try to take more. And actually, I doing encourage our students to at least to take try, because that's basically will change the way that you look at the things and change the way that you thinking, and it definitely is a boost. So the next question is actually asked about a CS related major, how they can, what is the future actually. So what the first part is, what are the possibilities for the CS major students after graduation? I think there's like so many possibilities, but the most important things I think they want to ask you like, let me narrow down. It's like, are you sure like all the CS major students will get a good job after graduation?
Yeah. So again, so this question is related to generally, what's going on in the market, and but more specific to Berkeley. I think in Berkeley, if your kids come to Berkeley, I can say that it's a highly so after education program, and all the kids. I can say that, and I'm talking about undergraduate. But if your kids want to become a graduate, want to take PhD, have a conversation. But just for undergraduate, I think it's very typical when you kids come to Berkeley, then they would like to apply for some internship. Those big companies like Facebook and Google and Microsoft and many other companies. And then some of the parents may actually very well work in those companies. They love to hire Berkeley students. Usually, the interview will start in even as early as September, October, and the top students may get offers as early as November and December. So that's the first crop that the top students will get offers, very good offers for summer internship. So through the summer internship, then you will actually get to know how to work in a company environment. And of course, your kids can also choose to work with the professors. For example, in my lab, they are augmented reality, virtual reality, autonomous driving, robotics projects. And really, we have in Berkeley, we encourage students, even for undergrad students, to participate. If you join any of our project, you will see that really healthy pyramid composition. So we have the highly motivated graduate students that lead the team, and then we have a master students that some of the master students come from the Berkeley MBA program, so they really bring in the entrepreneurship and the business side that the undergrad students may not have the experience. But then the base of the our research project, many of the research projects will have a healthy number of undergraduate students. Some undergraduate students even join our team as a freshman or a sophomore. And many of our team members got very good positions. They went to Facebook, and then they went to Apple and Google. And overall, I think that for any of our projects, that's a very good experience. So that is what happened in Berkeley. But overall, I will also say that the current situation is, I think that the boundary of computer science and non-computer science is really blurred. A lot of our projects in the ECA department, we have students from bioengineering, from psychology, from even journalism, from architecture, and they actually be part of our team because the interdisciplinary nature of our projects. As I mentioned before, as long as you remotely need to analyze big data and then you need to automate certain tasks, and then you want to use computer in your experiment, I think that the most newest technology, for example, artificial intelligence and Python programming, will actually help you in your study. I think that that is the what's going on in the CS major right now.
I see. Okay, that's quite clear. And so the second question they ask, like, what industry and the CS jobs, languages will become obsolete because of AI, and what new economies will emerge as a consequence, and how can you participate in in the new opportunities? I think that's a really big question, but we can see like a lot of parents they really want to know the future because we know like AI with AI is developing, and that means like more job opportunity is going to be disappeared, right? So because
Yes.
artificial intelligence is going to replace human being, right? Like we all see like Walmart, like the all the supermarket. If you go there, you don't see there's like a lot of cashier anymore because everything is like self checkout. Well, one thing is because of pandemic, but I do see a lot of companies and a business that they see the opportunity to use less labor, and then they can just, have a more AI to support their business to grow, and which is cheaper, right? And then they just working overtime. They never complain. So, what do you think about this kind of, situation? Should we just all go for the AI direction to develop a lot more AI to make to be like more developed, and then replace our own job? Or what is the consequence? I think that's a quite interesting question. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good question. I think that another old saying goes, life always finds its way. I think AI has becoming a life form of itself, sort of pushing the human society to make adjustment of the incoming AI age. As you mentioned, a lot of jobs will be lost. So whether you like it or not, so there's certain type of urgency that the AI is forcing the society to raise the bar for education, for us to change our educational program to always educate the next generation of the students that is suitable for creating more jobs rather than seeking jobs or taking jobs. I think it's more about Berkeley is all about creating jobs, creating leaders. Specifically to AI, I think that in the next 5 years, it's very safe to say that the AI will continue to take over the infrastructure of the human society. And I think that there will be a substantial part of the infrastructure of the human society will be run by AI. So in that case, a lot of jobs, traditional jobs, especially for repeated jobs, will be lost. So there's a certain type of urgency when we help our children to plan for their career. We want to emphasize the creativity, and also to some extent, I think we should encourage our kids to know, if they are not specializing in AI, at least to know what is AI. So it is like a situation that in the 100 years ago, and there was no engine, right? So everybody only know about horse, right? And suddenly, Mercedes-Benz comes along, Ford comes along, and then that fundamentally changed the human society. Right, so that's the revolution 100 years ago. So then when you in the past only know about how to go from point A to point B using horses, now actually the entire society in a blink eye has changed. In 10 years, all the horses were replaced by cars, right? Then in this case, you need to be able to create new jobs and to be able to fit into new job of the industrialized society. Otherwise, you will be forever lost. So in here, we already see the movement very rapidly of the robotics being replacing the humans in the fulfillment center. Very soon we're going to have autonomous cars, autonomous driving, and Amazon just get approved for drone delivery of merchandise. I don't know if you guys catch the news. So the revolution of robotics and AI to take over those infrastructure will be even bigger than 100 years ago when we replaced horses with machines. I think this is really coming in the next 5 years. It's very, very soon. So when we plan for kids' future, whether Berkeley take SAT or not, that's when we put into this bigger societal revolution. and the SAT score is really tiny. The real question is that are we prepared? Have we prepared our next generation students to be able to create the next future that has AI and the robotics to share the ecosystem that we have every day, rather than any. So it's the AI and the robotics will not be something that is remote, that we cannot see, that live with Amazon, that will be with us, that we can touch, we can see, we can feel on our daily lives. So your next delivery driver may be robots, and then so on and so forth.
Well, I think that's quite exciting and at the same time it's quite a scary. And that's go back to an older debate, right? So should human being, develop AI like more to try to replace a human being, or maybe the future will be human being will be replaced. Okay, so on the other hand, we do see, right? So from I feel like from now, at least we know like how we're gonna prepare our kids, right? Either you're gonna encourage your kids to go for the AI languages, be familiar with all the top technology because that's future. You definitely will find a place or find a spot in the future, or you just totally go to another direction. Find something like artist, right? Like something like the robotic or the AI will never replace you, right? Or like emotional connection, things like that. So yeah, that's a very good question, and thank you for sharing the input. And I do feel like excited to see the fast changing the world right now, and yeah, so I think eventually this is gonna be maybe like for like the next 10 years, not even like 15 years, right? So
Mhm.
have like more question. We need to really move forward. Yeah. So how to prepare students to get to the top university in related majors? So what is the best age to start learning CS? What is the students start to learn AI in high school, or how they can start it? Or how can intelligent like courses helping the students to gain the competitive advantages in learning application process?
Yep.
I think overall, there's like a very important question to answer is like, if we want to prepare our students to for the CS major or get into the top schools, for example, Berkeley, MIT, how and what is the early stage?
Right. So that's a great question. I think that's getting to the meat of discussion. I wouldn't, imply my experience will be, typical to everyone, but I think I'm a special case that I started learning programming, on Apple II when I was 6 years old. So as I mentioned that, it may be not true, but from my, personal experience, I think that if the language is well chosen, such as Python, and I think that the children in young age can learn to have a conversation with the computer, which means that learn how to tell the computer to automate certain things, and try to also be able to understand what the computer tell you when the computer runs some programs and then find some results to you. I think that will be the meaningful first step, is to learn a good well chosen computer language. Now, after learning the computer language, so that give you the ability to have a conversation. And then the next thing is, what do we talk about, right? So if the AI is what we talk about, and so this actually is something that we in Berkeley are constantly thinking about. It's because Berkeley, thanks to the location, very close to Silicon Valley, we felt the pressure that our education is constantly falling behind from what the industry want us to produce, in terms of graduates. So that is the program of intelligent racing that we are developing. So that actually is a part of the movement that currently we have in Berkeley. Is that a lot of students, when they come to Berkeley, they ask me a different type of question: is, hey, Alan, do you think that I should I should go to industry, or I should then continue for my PhD program? And in the past several years, I have been constantly saying that the only reason that you will go to a PhD program was either you want to be a professor and then you stay in universities for the rest of your life. It's not a bad life, but it's just a life that you have to choose. Or you go to a research lab like Microsoft Research or Google or Apple. But for the most of the masses, probably taking a good education in undergrad, a master degree will be good enough, because really, if we want to produce the next generation of educator, next generation of of leaders, taking a 5 to 6 year PhD degree will be way too long. So in Berkeley, what we are trying to innovate in terms of education is to have shorter master degree programs that after students have taken the undergraduate basic fundamental courses, they will have 1 extra year to learn about a specific project. And then they will go from the beginning to the end, from conception and from execution, and probably in the middle they have to pivot because of some difficulties. And at the end, they can present a research result or a project result. So this experience is also very, very valuable. And from a lot of the big companies, why they want to come back and hire our students, because they don't have to take the students, fresh graduate students, and then they have to educate their students how to do projects in their company. So if the students already know not just the coursework, but also apply what they learn into a well-structured project, I think those are the skills, including teamwork, and including being competitive in creating products, and also making your project to be competitive, to be good, is the quality that we're looking for. So going back to intelligent racing, if I could actually forward you a Berkeley website here. So this actually is one of the programs. Oh, sorry. So you can actually take a look at one of the projects that we have right here. So this is the autonomous racing platform. So in here, so the reason we developed this program is actually change the way that if people want to learn about AI, learn about autonomous driving. So we are actually we are intertwine our education into a competition, and also making extracurricular research fun to students to learn. So it is not structured entirely as a course project, and we have our own racing platform, and we have our open source software, so the students can be part of a society that they can contribute to this project, going over the entire pipeline of this development. As the student get through this experience, and will be more competitive in the job market. And going back to your question about applying to Berkeley, I think my advice will be very similar. Going back to my previous question, is that I think that the admission office, now in addition to looking at your scores, now if they don't look at your score, I don't know what will happen. This is new to everybody. But I think that what we are looking for is persona, is aptitude. Do you have the aptitude, and then are you have high conviction of seeing your career to be able to be developed in one of Berkeley's programs? So for example, in here, we have very good programs in robotics and artificial intelligence. If in your application apply to Berkeley, not only you say that you are interested about machine learning, artificial, but you have to take the initiative of taking some projects, have done some research projects that is part of Berkeley, and I think that will be a good application. That will be a good statement to show that you have the aptitude, and then you are actively taking initiative to learn about a program that is strong in Berkeley.
I see. That's really great. I think we can just come to the Q&A section. We do have the students asking a question. The first question is, actually, so how flexible in Berkeley to transfer AP test to university score? If we have enough AP test for transferring score, could we apply CS in the science and the lecture department directly? For this question, I think I can answer. Actually, the credit, for transfer is quite easy. So as long as you get an AP test and the score is above 3 or higher, the credit maybe like subject credit or graduation credit or whatever, you can just transfer. And they have like the detailed policy. So I forward the website link into the chat box. Maybe you can just take a look at it. That's the question from Leo. Okay. All right. So we do have another question, and the question say, I'm thinking of doing mechanical engineering. Well, not really decided. How much is this computer science needed? Alan, do you mind if you, yeah,
Yeah,
explain?
so actually that's a great question. Because I'm in charge of this role. So if you, I just sent the email again. So this one actually is across multiple departments. If you look at the faculty members, we actually have two faculty members from ME department, another two from ECS department. And then this project actually involved both developing software and hardware. So again, so if you are a really hands-on person, so this will be a good project. So let me give you some, some sense of the popularity of our project. So this year, because of the coronavirus, just looking at the master degree students, we actually admit only half of the number of students. So in the last year, we enrolled more than 400, the total number of college engineering master of engineering students. This year we only get 200. It was actually because of the COVID. And then out of of these 200, so there are 10 students that chose the concentration to automation and robotics and so on and so forth. Out of the 10, 6 students chose to work on the role. So it's a robot autonomous open autonomous racing. So that really shows that for ME students, that really shows I think the strong program that we have, and students really think that learning about autonomous driving in a competitive racing platform and having autonomous driving in a mobile platform really can help you to advance their career. So this I think that the raw platform in the specific to what we are talking about is actually a very good program that cross over between ECS and the mechanical engineering. And I will imagine that if some of the students and then the parent know that their kids are really into design, industrial design and 3D printing, really good at designing things, this autonomous driving platform will be really good for them.
I see. Great, great. We also have another question saying, I heard it that UC Berkeley, the EECS doesn't declare major in the first year. How do they decide which one get into the EECS?
I really don't get the question.
Oh,
So what do you mean by this declare the major?
It's like the beginning, like a fall. Usually, the freshman application they can't apply to the engineer and declare, so they
Mhm,
have the chance to don't need to decide any major. So they just get in there
mhm.
the first year, and that first year they decide. So I think the question is more about like should they apply major directly for ECS before they get into colleges, or they can just get in there with
Yeah, I mean, if you could, as I said, there are multiple ways. I wouldn't say that one way is better than the other way, because each option will lead to slightly different curriculum. As I said, even if you apply to science and letters, you can still at the end choose computer science, right? So it is, I think different tracks will lead to different curriculum. And then your courses will be slightly different. One program is emphasizing broadness, and one the program is emphasizing more depth. So I think that's just the difference. But I wouldn't say that what the in terms of the program. But I will also say that if you really want to get the most out of your Berkeley experience, I think getting to join a faculty member's research project will be, I think, in addition to getting to a program, I think will be the second most important thing. Will get the best out of your Berkeley experience, because a lot of professors, they really love to educate undergrad students, and the students joining the program will not be feeling isolated, because there are a lot of their colleagues and then their classmates, and then they can actually make friends, and some of friends can be even their buddies when they actually in the future go to a company or even start their startup companies, and then you may find your best friends, in some research projects.
Okay. Yeah, I do want to remind they do have like the minimum GPA requirement. If you go with undeclared major and then you want to, make the declaration about your decision moving forward to the EECS, they do have the minimum requirement. Please check the Berkeley website to make sure. Yeah, so I think we almost did the time limited, and I really enjoyed your explanation, and we definitely believe like if your students really want to go further and really want to prepare themselves, you can start to try the Python classes with Dr. Allen, and also try the like the AP courses, or prepare yourself for your college major. Even you want to go for the CS major, you want to go for the different kind of major, I think it's okay to try the computer languages. That's quite important for you to experience. And thank you, Dr. Young, to just to try to save some time for us, for the students. And I do see the passion that you want to help the younger kids to be successful in the future. Like you mentioned many times, you say whenever you see a students which is really intelligent in the CS and really passionate about computer science, you feel like you are finding a good like treasure. That I do understand the feeling. Yeah, but thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, so I felt that I every year I met talented undergrad students. I think the best Berkeley undergrad students is as good as any PhD students you can hire. Of course, when they get into PhD or join a company, I think they are really at the Mark Zuckerberg level. Every year I met students, I look at them and say, this person can be Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, so if you want to try and to see if you have talent, or you want to communicate with Dr. Yang, welcome to join his class and to ask a question. Maybe you are the next Mark Zuckerberg, right? Who knows, right? Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Yang, and thank you everyone for the time. And we hope we can find a time to invite you back again, Dr. Yang.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, so if you are interested in our online events, or if you want to know more information about a college application, the college policy changed, and also all the related academic plan of support, feel free to contact us. And 7EDU, we offer one-stop solution for your whole K to 12th grade academic years. And we want to reach out to help. And if you have any question, just let us know. And see you next open class. And we want to bring more interesting topic to you guys. And please follow us on the Twitter and YouTube channel, LinkedIn, 7EDU's blog. And we just share a very interesting article. It's about AP, how to get a full score. It's written by one of our students. So please check us out, and talk to you guys next time. Thank you for your time. Have a great weekend. Happy Labor Day. Bye.